Hello, everybody. It is great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. In fact, I'm here right this second. I have 17 companies under the belt and two unicorns. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for 1.35 billion. Also, Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. In fact, we were one of the first generative AI companies pre-ChatGPT, founded in 2016. So today I have an incredible guest, my friend Ajay Jain. He's with Silverneedle Ventures. Today we're going to be talking about what in early stage investments the VCs really look for. So AJ is a founding founder and managing partner of Silverneedle Ventures, an early stage venture fund. He's funded 40 plus early stage startups during his career and has given 8x returns to his investors. Prior to this, he was leading investments and scaling at T-Hub, India's largest innovation system. He was part of the investment team at Gray Matters Capital and founded a startup in the education sector, which raised over $8 million US. He has over 20 years of experience with corporates and startups, has an MBA from Indian School of Business, and a Master of Science degree from University of Arizona. Yay, University of Arizona and the USA. A little hot in Arizona in the summertime, but a nice place to be. Before moving to the startup space, was a professional semiconductor person and worked at Intel and AMD. He spent his early years in his family business, and they were into money lending. So with that, I'd like to bring my friend AJ on. Hey, AJ, how are you today?
I'm great, Gary. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me on this show.
Well, you got a wide background now. So how did you go from your family business of lending to here you're doing now? I can see where we are today, but how did you go to AMD and Intel? What did that have to do with your family's
Oh,
business?
that was because of my master's that I did in University of Arizona in the digital semiconductor world, right? And that's how I went into Intel and AMD. I think it was fun years, but I saw how semiconductor industry is so ahead of the game and still does not do as high efficiency levels, right? And that's when I realized I need to do an MBA to understand business much more.
So where were you? Were you in Phoenix or Tucson, AJ?
Tucson is where the University of Arizona, and that's when I did. And then I shifted to Bay Area for my for actual work.
So when you were in Tucson, how was it? Because when I was there, I was freaking. It was so hot I thought I was going to die. Like it was, I think it was July. I was there, and I had never experienced heat where you could actually cook a egg on the street. Is that
Sure.
was
Yeah.
it? Did it take a while to
Yeah.
get used to it?
Yeah. So I think yes. I think you one because I come from India, it was not so terribly bad, right? And two, you usually went into the lab before 9 a.m. and came out after 8 p.m. So it worked.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
You air conditioning all day long, but it does get cool in Tucson. I was surprised. It gets really cold at nighttime. It's kind
Yes,
of
it does.
unique.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a lovely place. I think enjoyed the place.
So when you
And
got out, what made you decide to come to the Bay Area, and how long were you here?
so I was there for about 3, 4 years, and then shuttling between India and US. It was work. It was basically the cutting edge industry, let's say, right? And I saw how projects get canned, even though, like I think 2 or 1 in 10 projects in Intel actually see the light of the day, right? And that
Really?
was some learning. Yep.
So what happens when you go down through AJ and you build a project up, and all of a sudden they call you in and say, I don't think we're going to do that. What do you do?
We used to play badminton, but I think that's when you really think, what are you doing in this industry, and what is this industry moving towards? And that's when I got my MBA, right? Because I realized I need to understand why are these decisions being made, right? I mean, such a so we were almost 400 people working on a project for 4 years, and it got canned, right?
But what happens the day it gets canned? So you say badminton, right? But I'm sure, like, how do you find another job in a company And what kind of what happens mentally when that happens? Do people get
Yeah.
crazy, or are they like, oh, this is great, now we can relax a little bit? What do they feel like?
So people like me, I think, question what's the business motive behind it, right? But I think there are lots of people who are confused, but might be just move on with what it is, right? And I think it's both sides. The good thing is companies such as Intel can keep you busy for long, right? And not necessarily you do not know the cycles are very long, so you do not know actually the product is coming out or not, right? But I think it was a great learning for me. I realized, I mean, that set me thinking a lot towards the business side of things.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what? Okay, you go down through. You work in the Bay Area for 3 or 4 years. How was it transitioning back to India? Was it? Did you want to go back? Did your family, or what made you decide on that transition? And then, how did you get into investing?
Yep. I always thought India is the next opportunity, right? And that's the reason behind the move, though there is family involved. Uh, and I think the whole idea was how can the entire, in fact, one of the ideas early was how can we grow the semiconductor industry back in India, right? That this was back in 2010, etc. But I think we were too early again in the scheme of things. Now things are picking up in India as well, right? So I saw opportunities in places like high tech, in places like clean tech, etc. And that's when I decided to move back, do something there. And MBA was the first step, and then move on to investing. So if you, and the other question that you asked, how do I connect myself with my family background, right? So I think money lending was natural for us, and the next step was to give money to startups to actually scale.
Yeah, it's amazing. You're an amazing guy doing what you've done, coming back. And I see, here in Silicon Valley, somebody said to me, what was it like 6 months ago? I said a 10x increase in my opinion, in terms of the
Ah,
number of AI companies and family offices and venture funds investing. But I got to tell you right now, I think it's 100. You know what I mean? In 6 months, I've never seen it. And I've been in AI for 30 years, but nothing like
yeah,
this. And on one
yeah.
side, we're reducing costs and their layoffs. On the other side, they're trying to find the talent to be able to get the job done. It's quite interesting, actually. It's like this new transition to this new world.
Yep, and while it's not at the same scale in India, it's very similar, right? We are very hungry for generative AI startups. We have already invested in a few, and we're looking for more of them.
How much do you invest, AJ?
So we typically come in with a check size of about 400K roughly, right? And then we do follow on of a million or so.
Got it. Got it. No,
So very,
I was just thinking we now have 153 companies in GSD from 59 countries around the world, many of them moving to Silicon Valley, right? It's kind of interesting. So, and wide backgrounds too. We have Harvard MBAs, Stanford MBAs, IIT, um, MIT.
mhm.
I have an MBA from MIT with an undergraduate degree in engineering, right? So incredible companies. But the one thing, I don't know about you, but we look at these early stage companies. We see three things: access to capital, networking contacts, and operational expertise. And if you have those three and a resilient, flexible team, you can turn any company into a unicorn, right? Because you just have to. And people say, well, how do you pivot? Well, it's not about a pivot can be a circle, right? You can go around in
Sure.
circle. The key is you need to know which direction to pivot to. What do
Yep.
you see as an early stage investor? What's the key? What's important for those startups to be able to come into Silverneedle and say, "Oh, I'm going to get funded by Silverneedle"?
Sure. No, I think you have hit the nail on the head, but let me give you more subjective things around it, right? For me, it's the story behind why the founder is in this space and what does he believe will be the the end result, right? That's important because I'm investing early, I'm investing in the team. As you said, there might be changes for the startup. What they're doing today might not be the same tomorrow, but is the team ready to carry it for the long 7 9 years, right? And that's a big question. As you rightly also pointed out, is the team co- capable not only to run the business but to raise money and to, you know I think what happens is most techies miss the business development side of things, right? uh, I've seen that more in Indian context, right? And they build a great product but they're not able to market it well.
Well, that's it. And AJ, I want to focus on that point because I lived in Russia 12 years, so I spent a lot of time in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, the Central Asia,
Mhm.
and the thing that was interesting, and here too in the valley, by the way. So you get people that have engineering degrees, and they think everybody's going to buy their product just because he built something cool, and they don't understand that storytelling is like 90% of building a $1 billion company. If you're not a good storyteller, you ain't going to do it. And you
Yeah.
try to talk to them about it, and the ones that, and we see that in GSD, the ones that are really successful are the ones that are open and willing to develop their storytelling capabilities and make it so it's enchanting, as my friend Guy Kawasaki says, so people want to buy this stuff. How
Yep.
important is it on a 1 to 10 scale? What do you think?
Oh, I would think it's a 9 for me, right? Because in this space, let's say you have built a great technology, but you're not able to represent it because, like for example, cybersecurity seems to be one of those places where founders like to explain at depth what they're doing, right? Technically, right? But I am like, hey, for me, it's a black box. Now tell me what benefit can I get, right? Why can you sell it, right? And why are you the right person that someone will agree to? So I have seen that that's the lack today, right? And I would invest in those who are able to convince me otherwise, right? So that's I think the main thing. The other thing is, are you doing your homework to actually understand the market? You see a need, and then there are biases because you see the need in your daily life, etc. But have you actually looked at the market and say, hey, look, it's large enough the the venture fund to get a return, but also for you to make a good killing out of it, right?
Yeah, that's
I think people
exactly.
miss that.
I agree with you, and but I'm seeing now that if it's not like a shotgun approach, AJ, from my opinion, it's more like a laser beam. Let's go get shit done. Let's focus on it. One of the things we've done at GSD is we created a group, a PR group, right, within
Mhm.
GSD. Why did we do it? To be able to help them craft their messages, to be able to use the channels that we have to get it out, to be able to enchant the world, enchant those potential customers so they want to grab it out of your hands, as my friends Steve Blank and Bob Dorf say. We got to go out and really enchant them. And um, so, those companies, when you look at it, what are the things from your standpoint? You've seen companies go from zero to unicorns, right? $1 billion. But what are the key ingredients? So we talked about the things that you don't have. What do you look for when you're across your desk and you're looking at them or in a Zoom call? What do you look for in their eyes for them? What makes you decide that they're the person you want to invest in?
Sure. I think it's the determination, right? Whether they are in it for the right reasons, right? See, one of the things in India happens is that there are multiple copies of what's happening in the West, right? People mimic, similar companies, which might be okay. But are you in it just because you think it has been successful in the West, right? That's very important. So for me, determination and whether you can work together. See, I think the other thing is, as founders, can you work together as a team, right? Because that's critical. Can 2 plus 2 actually make more than 4, right? And that I see, we delve a lot deeper when there are multiple founders to understand that.
So what
because
happens
that's
about this, AJ? I got a question for you. So when you
sure.
have five founders, and I've seen this, right? What do you do? Do you invest
I
in a
wouldn't
company?
invest. I wouldn't invest. But see, I think the question is, what roles are they playing? Do they know it? Right.
Mhm.
Obviously, the cap table is not so nice if you already have five founders,
Right,
right? And
right.
that's a problem in itself. But the other question is, are you in it for the right reason, all five of you, right? And do you have such a large play to do, right? Because you wouldn't even be getting market salary, let's say, if there are five people for the next 3 5 years, right? And then are you able to sustain things like that? So to me, I think the sweet spot is 2 or 3 founders. One
Mhm.
is too little. Anything above four is an overkill.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you need that charismatic person that's leading the
Correct.
ship, and you need those technical folks that can blow them away. And then
Right.
having somebody on the other side, maybe operations or something else that can really bring the glue to bring it together. And if you have those three, that triad, you can do damn near anything. It really changes the game
Yep. Yep.
wherever you are.
Yep. And I think for me, the startup journey is amazing, right? Everyone should appreciate that, but they should be in it for the right reasons,
What are the
right?
right?
And that
What are the right?
the right reasons are, in my head, the actual business solution you're providing, right? And are you clear that the value add you're doing is actually what you perceive it is, right? And there I would also like to segue that pricing is something that I've seen most startups not do a good job on, and they do
Mhm,
not understand the whole idea of value based pricing, right? They do not
mhm.
appreciate it. And that's where I think venture funds can support, come in very handy to help them guide that route.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the one thing, in we have this our operational family office, and one of the
Uh-huh.
things that we do is we look at those companies that are willing, that have that resilient and flexible mentality, that they understand they don't, that you don't know. That's a starting point, and then appreciate some of the other pieces that you can bring to the table. And if you do that, you can start connecting the dots, right? You can go to those family offices or funds. How about you? What we see is we see that most of the venture funds inside of them have family offices, right? You may not know it. The families may not want you to understand they're investing, but in my opinion, probably 90% of them have family offices inside one way or the other. So, how
Sure.
do you go down through? Do you see those family offices becoming more involved in the early stage startups, or what's it like in India right now? Or are they still
Um,
using
no,
venture funds?
they're at an arm's length. They come when they feel there is a clear strategic partnership, right?
Right.
So let's say in India, still the whole family office, structure has not evolved as in the West, right?
Hmm.
And let's say the focus is on other markets or other assets, including your real estate, stocks, etc., right? So they do not see this as the um, as, let's say, 5-10% of the portfolio. They do not see it right now, but that's changing. Clearly, alignment to their strategic goals is happening, and that's a good part, right? But right now it's at arm's length.
Yeah, no, I got it. I hear you, but it's going to change. As you start
Yeah.
to see this incredible wealth, and as the world's repositioning, and then the democratization of opportunity, you're going to start to see it change very quickly. It's going to be quite interesting, actually. What about Africa, AJ? Do you see much activity? Are you doing anything in Africa today? Do you look at the continent?
No, sure. I see a lot of activity, especially in the finance space, in spaces where they leapfrog, let's say the West also in some areas, right?
Yes.
They come late and hence they have an advantage, etc. So I do hear of the activities, I do see them, but right now Silverneedle is focused predominantly in Indian ecosystem. We do have a North American investment, but otherwise we are looking at the Indian ecosystem because we still are strong here, and then next fund two will be where we will go global.
No, that's great. And
Yeah.
what do you think in terms of, do you go to places like IIT and IAM to find folks, or to your
Yeah.
university, your alma mater?
Yep. Yep. So see, I think people keep questioning me this: does it matter if you're, if I'm from let's say a grade A school versus not, right? Now, as you rightly put very early, it's the network, it's the access you have, etc., that still makes you a much more better candidate for investment if you're from these schools. So yes, to you, we do have investments in people from such schools. In fact, there is a school called BITS Pilani. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I realized I have made 7 investments into the alumni of this school. Very, very good school. And actually, 3 have already given me handsome returns.
Well, that's great. I love it. You're
Yeah.
amazing. Now, here's the thing that we've done. We went to Nigeria, Ghana, Zambia, Kenya, South Africa, North Africa, Egypt, Israel, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, India,
Mm,
of course. And we started to find these companies, in Nigeria, companies that have really turned the needle. Flutterwave was what probably a $2 or $3 billion valuation now. But we're finding these companies early. We didn't invest in Flutterwave, but we had a couple other fintechs from Nigeria that are quite interesting for us that have come through GST. And we find them, and it's just, you're right. There's like banking the unbanked. We don't think about that in the West, but
yep.
and it's critical. Probably like Africa, 54 countries, 1.48 billion people, right, and the fastest growing population in the world under 30. So, in fact, the population, I don't know if you know this, the population of Africa will eclipse the population of India and China combined in the not too distant
Yep.
future. Like Nigeria's got
Yes.
280 million, could be as high as half a billion within the next 5 years, right? So you're talking about that kind of growth. Quite interesting. So sometimes, from my perspective, we look where other people don't. Some people say, "Well, what do you like?" I said, "We're kind of like the Indiana Jones of looking for companies. We want to find
Yeah.
the holy grail before other people do."
Oh, I agree, and I think you could get some real diamonds in Africa, right? Especially is equally in Indonesia, which is high growing market. So I agree with you, and I think, and if you can actually supplement them to go to the West with their product offering, then that's a win-win kind of a situation.
Well, that's the other thing is, the one thing, I'd like your opinion on it. The we look all over the world here, but one thing, I mean, the U.S. may not have the best technologists, but a lot of people come here like yourself that are great technologists, right?
Sure.
But the one thing we're really good at is marketing, sales, and business development. I don't know in your opinion, but I think we're the best in the world.
Oh, I agree. I agree. In fact, every time I do this comparison, I say, hey, look, the West does an amazing job of marketing themselves, right? Right from, even a redwood forest to a B2B company, right? I say, look, brands are being not built here, right? I mean, while there are unicorns in India, they're not brands. I cannot have their brand equity anywhere close to some of the large ones in the West,
I
right?
agree.
And that's true. And I think, yeah, I think we have a way to go. We have some way to catch up there.
Well,
Um,
somebody like you, AJ, that's got that background, that mixed background, that can give them keen insights is critically important. Hey, listen, we're coming up to the top of the show, but I wanted to closing thoughts and how can people get a hold of you? And once the show's done, if you can just stay on because I want to talk to you for a few minutes too, AJ.
sure, Gary. Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah, you can look up at me at Silverneedle Ventures. Ajay at silverneedle.vc is the email ID. We are happy to right now engage with Indian startups, but we would soon be investing in non-Indian ones. It's regulatory restrictions also. So the North American investment we made actually took us 9 months to actually transfer the money. So that's one of the reasons. We really like technology. We are horizontal in that nature. We like to come in early, but we would want people to value us. So it's not only the money, it's what strengths we bring to the table. So the story completes along with us is where we are, right? So that's how we would like to get very hands on with the startups, and then help them build some of these, especially as I said, the business development side, the strategy, the pricing, things which I think they lack, and then take them to the West, especially the B2B SaaS players.
No, that's great. Well, AJ, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us one more time. Runday presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you all again soon. Take care of yourself. AJ, I'll talk to you in a few minutes. Thanks,
Sure.
everybody.